Hello, chefs. This is Chef's PSA podcast. I'm your host, André Natera. On today's episode, we're going to talk about 10 things that you may be doing that are holding you back in your career. Stay tuned. Now, before we get started, just a brief update. The new book, Bad Cooks Everywhere, is in. Go get it. It's a fiction book if you haven't been following along. It's funny. It's intense. It's the story of a cook. My story, your story, everyone's story. It's the journey. More than just a fiction tale, because you'll learn a lot about what it's like to work in different types of kitchens. So if you're a new cook and you're not sure where to begin, this is a good book to get you through it. If you're an experienced cook, you might enjoy it. Either way, go get the book. You get everything, all the books on chefspsa.com, including all the merch and all the other things that we do there. I'm also working on 2 audiobooks right now. One is the Culinary Leadership Fundamentals audio version of the Spanish book. It's in the approval stages right now, so any day now it should be out. So for those of you that have been asking, that book within the next few weeks should be done on audio. Also, the audio version of Bad Cooks Everywhere is being worked on. That'll probably take about a month or so before it's ready, but look out for that soon. So if you're old school and you like to read with your eyes, go get it now. But if you're new school and you like to read with your ears, give it about a month, it'll be ready. Other updates, I hope you all are enjoying the guest format of the podcast. The next one is going to have Top Chef 18 winner Gabe Morales. Then we'll go back to solo podcast, and then we'll have one focused on service with Alex Gonzalez. I really enjoyed recording these podcasts and sitting down with my friends and having good conversation. If you want early access to the podcast, you could go subscribe to my Substack channel. Link is in the show notes. I'm putting out the podcast a little bit early there. So if you can't wait until next week, you could go subscribe to my Substack and get it now. Anyway, on with today's subject. And really what piqued this subject is I get a lot of DMs asking questions, and usually I get one half of the story. You know, people ask me why they can't get promoted, what's holding them back in their career. And I hear this long story, and based on everything that they're telling me, they should get promoted. But I'm only hearing one half of the story. I'm sure there's more to it. When I was a chef, I would often get people coming up to me saying, why am I not getting promoted? And they would get frustrated, and maybe they'd go complain behind my back and tell others that I was preventing them from moving up. When in reality, it wasn't me that was preventing them from moving up. And a lot of times in this industry, you may not be aware of what you're doing to sabotage yourself to prevent you from moving up either at the place that you're at or in your own career. So today I want to talk about 10 things that you may be doing that are preventing you from moving up in the kitchen. Maybe you're a cook right now and you want to move to sous chef, and you may be doing something that's preventing you from moving up. Or maybe you're a sous chef and you want to go to exec chef or chef de cuisine, and you're also being held back and you don't understand why. And no one's telling you why. Some of these may apply to you, none of these may apply to you. I'm just going to share with you in my experience in 27 years of cooking and over 20 years of leading kitchens. These were the main attributing factors that prevented people from moving up, myself included. When I was doing these things, I was also not moving up. It takes a lot of self-reflecting and introspection to understand what's holding you back. And the toughest thing, the most uncomfortable truth, is what's really holding you back is typically, in most cases, you. So let's talk about the number one thing that's holding you back: complaining about your boss. If you're the type of person in a kitchen that's complaining about your boss, and maybe your boss is the sous chef, or maybe you're the sous chef and your boss is the exec chef or the chef de cuisine, it doesn't matter. If you're complaining about your boss and your boss is the person who's making the decision to promote you, they are not going to promote you. As simple and as stupid as that sounds, you'd be surprised how many people constantly talk bad about their boss behind their back and think that they are unaware. And I promise you, there's always a sneaky person in the kitchen. When I was a chef, I always had spies in the kitchens that would tell me what was going on, to say who's saying this and who's saying what, and this person's saying this and that. And then that one individual is always saying, oh, chef doesn't get it. They don't know what they're doing. If I was in position, I would do it better. And you're constantly talking bad about the chef behind their back, saying that they don't know what they're doing and how incompetent they are, or how they're holding you back in your career. And then you wonder why you're not getting promoted. Like, seriously, think about that. Because if you are that dumb that you think you're going to talk badly about someone and then be upset that they're not promoting you, I mean, you basically have what's coming. You can't talk poorly about your boss and then think that they're going to get excited about promoting you. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. Someone does nothing but undermine what you say when you're not around, talk poorly about you, your skills, and your leadership. Do you think to yourself, you know what? Maybe I should promote that person. No, it's a no-brainer. Stop doing that. That's the number one thing that people do that's preventing them from moving up in their career. Number 2, Not willing to do more. Now, I know this is a gray area because a lot of people think I might be implying that you should be working off the clock or doing work that you're not getting paid for. And that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is when the opportunity comes to step up, be the one that steps up. If someone needs to volunteer to pick up an extra shift, be that person that's willing to volunteer. There's an offsite event, be that person that's willing to go to the offsite event. Be the person that says yes. Because when the time comes, there's going to be a choice between the person who always says yes, and you know they're going to be there in a time of need, and there's going to be the person that always says, no, I'll do it when you pay me more, or that's not my job. And if you're the head chef, which one do you choose? The person who says, I'll do it if you pay me more, but hasn't proven that they will, or the person who has done it even though they never had to? Well, it's a no-brainer. You're going to promote the person who's willing to do it even before they got the title. It's about showing willingness to step up. It's about showing commitment to the team and wanting the entire team to succeed in the kitchen. You might not agree with this, but I promise you, the person that's making the decision probably agrees with me. So if you're wondering what's holding you back, but you're the person that always says, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, or that's not my job, and someone else next to you is doing it, I promise you, they're out hustling you and they're the primary candidate for promotion. Number 3, having a bad attitude at work. In general, being that negative person that no one wants to be around. It's contagious. And you might not be talking badly about your boss and you may be volunteering to go to places, but just no one likes being around you because you're so negative. You always have something bad to say. The conversation always goes south. You're the Debbie Downer. If no one wants to be around you, you have to understand that that sort of negative attitude becomes infectious in the kitchen and it spreads. And if you're in a position to promote people and you're thinking, do I want this negative person to be my right hand? You probably don't, because they probably also don't like being around you when you're always complaining and being negative. So if you're that negative person, you might be a great cook, you might show up, but you just have a poor attitude and you have a dark cloud following you everywhere. No one's going to want to be around you. Don't be that person. Be optimistic. Be the person that finds solutions versus the person who could only find problems. I say this often, the person who could find one solution is more valuable than the person that could find 10 problems. I could find 10 problems. I could find 100 problems. I don't need people coming up to me pointing out the same problems that I already know exist. If you could find solutions and you help me by solving problems, you bring more value than the person who could find all the problems. You got to reframe your approach. Be the person that is solutions-based, optimistic, positive. People like being around you. More likely to get promoted. Number 4, if you're the type of person that likes telling people what to do but doesn't like doing it, it's transparent. People see through it. No one wants to work for someone that loves giving orders but doesn't know how to do it themselves, or is afraid to do it themselves, or is too lazy to do it themselves. Sometimes you're placed in a position of leadership as a test. And what's the first thing you do? You think to yourself, I can't wait to be in charge so I can tell everyone what to do. Wrong approach. When you're placed in charge, be a part of the team, be a part of the solution, move things forward, be unafraid. But if you're the type of person that says, oh, you go do this and you go do that, and I'm going to chill over here with my feet in the office, sipping an espresso, no one likes that person. That person's usually an asshole. And they're all praying, I hope they don't get promoted. There you are, sipping your espresso, feet on the desk, reading the chef's PSA book, chilling. And then you come out there and like, oh, I think you forgot to clean the walk-in. Did you make sure that you scrubbed your lowboy because your gaskets are dirty? And then you go back to chilling. Like, you're an asshole. No one likes you. No one likes that person, especially when you're not in charge. So if you're the type of person that only likes giving orders, maybe that's why you're not getting promoted. You got to be willing to get in the grind and get dirty with the cooks. Number 5, being resistant to change. As a chef, things are constantly changing in the industry. Menus got to change. You have to adjust quickly. Being nimble as a chef is a sign of success because you could adapt to problems before they become big problems. You can't just ignore problems and hope they go away. And if you work in kitchens long enough, you know you are changing things constantly. You're changing menus, you're changing the order of who's working what stations, you're reorganizing the walk-in, you're seeing something that's not working and you're adjusting it on the fly. You're rapid prototyping. You're trying to get 1% better every day. But the person that's resistant to change and is fighting you on every single change that you need to make is the chef. They're impeding your progress and they're preventing you from succeeding. And if you're that person that complains about every change and you're being resistant and you want to argue back and forth on why you shouldn't change, then someone's going to look at you as an obstacle to their success. You have to be willing to change. And I know change sometimes sucks because when things are constantly changing, it's hard to get rhythm. But the fact of the matter is, in this industry, things are always changing. So if you're inflexible to change, that might be why you're being held back. Number 6, not being a team player, not willing to help out other people when they're in the shits. You might be a great cook and your station might be set on time, but the person next to you is going down in flames and you won't even lift a finger to help them. The only thing you care about is what's in front of you. Maybe you don't see it or maybe you don't care to see it. Either way, you're not helping out the team. Someone else might be a team player, willing to help everyone out on every station. Come in early, someone needs help. Come in on your day off because you were asked. Big event, first one to volunteer. They're the team player. They might not be as good of a cook as you, but if it comes down to the person that is a team player and maybe not as good of a cook, usually the team player will get it, regardless of culinary skill. Because your role from cook to chef changes. Being a chef is about leading and organizing and being able to make sure you have a successful service. Sometimes being a cook is just making sure everything's going well on your station. So you're looking at people that are seeing the bigger picture. The next one is over-reliance on past success. I know a lot of chefs out there that have worked in great kitchens, and you may have the best pedigree and have the greatest resume in the current kitchen that you're in, but you might be relying too much on what you did before, on past success, things that you've done in other kitchens, under other chefs in other cities, where currently where you're at right now, you're not giving it your full effort because you think you've earned your stripes already. But as they say, it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. It's what are you doing today to fix service? Nothing matters that you did yesterday. The only thing that counts is today's service. So if you're relying too much on what you've done in the past, yeah, you may have earned it, but you still got to earn it today. And what you got to understand about the kitchen is every single day that you're there, you have to push yourself and you have to earn it because it doesn't matter what you did yesterday because techniques are evolving, cuisine is evolving, management is evolving. If you're not evolving with it, you're going to be left behind. So just because you've done some incredible things in the past, don't think that means guaranteed success now. Next is ignoring the business side of things. As a chef, you have to understand that it's still a business. It's not a playground. There is the creative aspect and the fun part of making sure it's all good food. And I'm never going to sit here and say that good food is not important. It's the most important thing. But so is running good business. You can have good food with good business. But if you're so focused on getting your way at the expense of the business, and you don't see the bigger picture, that might prevent you from moving up. You have to understand cost management. You have to understand how to manage the schedule. You have to understand how to stop an argument, negotiate with vendors, deal with ownership. You have to understand when to pivot the menu, even if those are your dishes. If you don't understand the business side, being a good cook won't save you. So if you're ignoring that and solely focused on the food, then that might be why you're not getting promoted. The next one is poor time management, missing deadlines, falling behind on your work, ignoring things that are important to your job, not finishing everything on your prep list. Maybe you're in a position where you're supposed to respond to emails or make sure certain reports are filled out or done, and you're not doing that because you have 1,000 excuses as to why you're not getting it done. Your excuses do not affect the outcome. It doesn't change the fact that it was not done, especially if someone else on the team can get it done. Remember, you're competing with the other person. So if you have poor time management skills, you need to get on it. One thing I do is I write a list and I try and prioritize my list with what's most time consuming and also what's most important. Everything has to get done. And there really is no excuses to the person that's waiting for it. The person on the other end that's waiting for it wants to know that you are responsible and can manage your own time. Because if you can't manage your own time, how are you going to hold other people accountable? So make sure that you're focusing on time management as well. And the last thing that may be holding you back from getting promoted is simply not telling people you're interested in getting promoted. I've seen a lot of people just afraid to say that they want to get promoted, thinking that someone's going to let them know or tap them on the shoulder. You have to beat the drum and let everyone know that you're interested in promotion, that you want to move up, that you have the desire to go into the next position and maybe the position above that. A mistake that I made in my career, sometimes I would only talk about my goal being the next position up, and I never spoke about what my ultimate goal was. And I noticed that people that talked about their goal being 3 or 4 positions higher than the next one would sometimes get promoted even though they weren't qualified, because people would view them as a potential candidate for something bigger down the road due to their ambition. Ambition sometimes can be to your advantage. And I used to think to myself, they're not that good. Why are they getting promoted? But I also didn't want to be 4 or 5 positions above where I was. I wanted to stay in the kitchen. They wanted to be VP of ownership or whatever. And they would move up quicker because people are always looking for people to build their team around the senior ranks. So something you might want to consider is, instead of saying, if you're a cook right now, saying, my goal is not to be sous chef, my goal is to be corporate chef for the company, for example, or to be regional vice president, whatever the case may be. but think about 3 or 4 moves ahead. And when you say that, people say, that person's ambitious. Let's start mentoring them and grooming them to get ready for the next position and the one above that. Make sure you let people know you're interested in the job. If not, don't be disappointed when no one taps you on the shoulder. If you were doing any of these things, now you know, correct it. And if you were doing none of those things, well, then I'm not sure why you're not getting promoted. Maybe you just don't know how to cook, because I probably should have said that. First and foremost, the gatekeeper usually, if you're applying for a cooking position, the gatekeeper usually is, can you cook? That's it. Then they start looking at all those other things. But if you can't even cook, usually it's not even in the conversation. Anyway, if you want to support the show, you know what to do. If you listen on Spotify, make sure you leave 5 stars, nothing less than 5 stars. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. If you want to get this hat, go to chefspsa.com. You get all the merch, all the books. Go get Bad Cooks Everywhere. And early access to podcasts, including the next one with Gabe Morales. You can find that on my Substack. We'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
Yo, it's André in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction, stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, class is in session.